Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, and perhaps even good evening. Thank you so much for dropping by and joining me for an exciting chillaxed Sunday morning session. It is wonderful to see you, Mr. Chris, Kemi. Wonderful to hear about your work. That is really, really cool. Money always the sweetest of incentives. Mr. Brian is here. I've seen Camilla earlier, and I have also seen Nancy's art, the Sacred Sage, of course, and anyone else who's out there who I haven't shouted out. Welcome, welcome, welcome all the same. I'm having a little issue here with my 12-year-old MacBook Pro that's showing me a return that's kind of, 2 minutes delayed on the lowest resolution possible. So I hope that's just my local internet connection or my local whatever it is. Maybe it just needs a reboot, perhaps. One of those things. I have something exciting planned for us this morning that we can all just, see if it works. Perhaps it won't, but it's one of those things. I was really inspired by Camilla's render that you posted on Discord. Thank you so much for that. She used a product called the Mega Terrain Swampland, and this morning I went ahead and purchased it because I thought I really want to have a look at what this thing looks like under the hood, and maybe make a render with the geoshell we've made yesterday on the Daz stream. Thank you so much for coming, by the way. If you were there, that was really cool. I think that went relatively well. So this is the Mega Terrain, and I'm excited to have a look at it. Really cinematic quality type renders there. If you don't want to rely just on a HDRI and you want to add a little bit more pizzazz to the scene and make it fuller, I think this could really, really come in handy. So one of those things. I'm thinking I'd like to have a look what that looks like, pop a character in and see what we can come up with in about an hour. And then following on from that, there is something that Julia's discovered. Yeah, like this. We're going to have a look at how this actually works. There's something Julia discovered on Itch, and that is... that, of course, I've forgotten the link to that. I think it's itch.io. I remember that. And the guy's name was something with a W. Y something. Let's see if I can find it. I'm sure it's in my feed as one of the guys I have just followed. Shouldn't that be here? Follows. No, that's just people who follow me. That's only one of them. It's nothing in my library, it's just somebody I follow. I'm sure we're going to work it out. There's a guy who makes procedural building generators and all kinds of other procedural stuff. You'd imagine it's in my feed. There we go. That's the man here. This is the guy. Why Tabu? That's him. And so he has all these little bits and pieces here, and they're kind of funky. The medieval fantasy city generator, and that is not a game, indeed. It is kind of a little applet that runs here, and this is a village called Ice Side. And I think if you go and re-roll, like generate, then it goes and makes it maybe a smaller image. Whoops. Make a small image, and boom, there we go. This is now called Clear Grove. Isn't that cute? And then you go make a medium village, and that's called Man Sames Bowl. And kind of so it goes. And this is kind of cool. He expanded this. This is just a 2D view, but he's expanded this into a 3D view that you can get with this one. City Viewer, Medieval Pixel Dungeon Village Generator. Was it Village Generator? I don't remember. Pixel Dungeon? One-page dungeon, neighborhood generator. There was something here. Could even be the village generator. City view, I don't think that was it. That was also cool, but I'd like to make something like that. Could be this one. Proc Gen Mansion, that could be it. So I'd like to, that's the one, exactly. So I'd like to have a look at this. So he makes it possible to literally click a button and make this exportable as an OBJ. Isn't that cool? So you can make a small house, ding, that's a small one, and then you can make a medium one, ding, and you can make maybe another medium one, ding, that looks different, and then you make another small one, ding, that also looks different. So we can just go and make these, export them as OBJs and see what they look like in Blender, and then perhaps slap on some substance materials and see what this all looks like. Wouldn't that be cool? This would also be cool inside the Mega Swampland, like put that in, and it's a castle in the background type of thing. Let's see if it works. Let me put some music on. That's already running, actually. Very, very cool. But let's start with the Mega Terrain. It is, isn't it, Brian? I'm going to go and put that link in the chat here. This is that village generator. That's this. And then the Mega Swampland, that is that. Mega Swampland. That's this one here. Ding, perfect. If you want to have a look at those, feel free to play around with them. So first of all, we're going to go and see if we can work it out just by ourselves, loading in the Mega Swampland. We'll see if that kind of works. Yes, so the creator is a bit of a he's into procedural things. So what he really did with these components is that he turned the 3D building generator and the 2D map generator into one thing that then makes you a whole village procedurally. And I think you can use that in your game. So you can basically make a little fantasy village and populate it with characters and then get going. I think that is what he's doing. And you can support the guy on Patreon as well. So check out all the projects that he has. It kind of makes more sense if you look at it as a larger picture. So it's kind of cool. Indeed, I think Kemi, that's what he used to do. He used to do this by hand, and he liked the idea of it just being all, automatic. So, Camilla, where do you think we go here for this? Maybe environments, Mega Terrain Swampland. That sounds like it could be it. We got environment, prefab A, prefab B, prefab C, and prefab D. Nice. Okay, that I can live with that. Materials. Good density for, could be fog density, could be just like, water tiling. I like it. Props, yes, we have props. Few rocks and stuff. We have some render settings. Daylight, toned daylight, low daylight, and we have a bit of a sunset daylight. I like it. And in transportation, we have a little boat. That is very cool. Let's check them all out. Let's have a look at KMTS Prefab A. See what goes. I would imagine, Sage, see how this goes. These are scene sets, so they will integrate into something that you already have in your scene. That's kind of nice. If you already have the character, then this isn't going to overwrite it. It's just going to load itself into it. How did they do it? Does it come with cameras? It does indeed. Look at that. Ooh, I like it. Cameras. That is cool. Well, I'm going to go back to the perspective view, maybe give myself some room here. And this is something I like doing. I go and right click and drag my loop icon here, make that a little bit wider. And then I'll just go with this icon here. I'm going to go into kind of, not the scene selection mode, it's called, what's it called? The navigator, isn't it? Yeah, it's called the navigator, scene navigator. And I'm going to go and just wander around this thing. Am I fast enough? Am I slow enough? Yes, I can do that. I might need to go a little bit faster here because we're moving around a lot of geometry. I'm in the forest, undoubtedly. This is cool. Let's see that. It's probably better off if it's like 10. Yes. Okay. It's seemingly going on forever. I like it. I like it. That is very cool already. Ha! It's like your own open world game inside Daz Studio, right? No, it's not an asset. It's there's a keyboard navigation inside Daz Studio, the WASD navigation that may or may not be on by default. I think it's there's an icon for that. There's a little keyboard icon that usually you have. I think it's Command or Control T for the keyboard to navigate you around. And then this is just the navigator here that's under the tool settings, a tab that you should have at all times displayed and open. And that's just the speed of the move control. So you can make that faster as well. So 20 would make that faster. There's no good overall value because it'll depend on how fast Daz Studio can draw this in the viewport. Very, very cool. And this is just one of the prefabs, so sweet. I wouldn't even know where to begin putting my character in. Probably the scene center there. That's so cool. Let's have a look at the next one. I can't believe it. This was a great purchase, I have to say. I'll go and delete all of these out and bring in prefab B. See what that looks like. Yes, it's really cool because on larger sets, it really allows you to just wander around and see where you'd like to shoot from. On smaller sets, even on smaller sets, it's useful to use because sometimes you want to just move the camera in a more intuitive way. So yeah, the keyboard and mouse navigation. So this here means if you use this tool, you can't select objects in your viewport. You can only left click and drag, and you look around essentially, which is cool, like you're used to from shooter games. And then W goes forward, S backwards, A strafes, D strafes, and then Q and E go up and down. So with that, you're totally sorted. And you can see that the speed of movement is variable because it really depends on how many objects Daz Studio has to draw. Like now we draw more, and then if I go up here, we draw less, and that kind of works a bit faster. Prefab B. I love these mountains in the background because they're a good transition from stuff from the scene into the HDRI. That's really cool. Kindred Arts and Ravenlaw. Very cool. What does this look like when we render it? Just out of curiosity, frame something up like that. And this is with my render settings, so actually the default render settings. Just out of curiosity, what does that look like? And then we'll use their render settings to see what that's going to be like. Same here. Let's make it happen. And also, how fast is it? You know, I mean, there's a lot of geometry in here, but I think they used a ton of trickery here. So this looks like they're all. That's not full geometry here, much like the leaves in the. Yes, I love it. Much like the leaves, they're not full geometry. Not so bad. That's the default lighting. We haven't even used their kind of render settings here. Let's make it a little blue here. That is very cool. And then we have that green. Then we have a low daylight. Ah, that's just too cool. And sunsetty. Oh, Camilla, this is a really cool set. I love that. It's like HDRI on steroids. That's very cool. Move around once you're in the rendered view, you can actually make it out as you walk around. Woohoo! I like it. Let me make it the full viewport experience here. Active viewport, and then that means we can do this. Or in fact, even better, let's do this here. This and then that, so we can go and play with other bits and pieces. Like what did we say here? Was that under materials? There were the fog density. I don't know if I need to select anything particular for that, or if I can just go and double click it. Probably need to select something. Something special that I could read the manual, but you know. There's also plain mist. Are these the mist options here? Do we have any mist here? We don't. Does the water have a snow texture? We'll find out. That's a good question. I'm trying to find the fog essentially and make it a little slimmer. Rock cameras. These are the barrel instances. Then we have large terrain instances. We've got the pine tree. Mist. Maybe there's something along the lines of fog in here. Or is that a different setting that I need to find here? I would imagine it would be something like an object I select, and then I can probably adjust that with these. But how to find out which object that belongs to? That's tricky to say, isn't it? You can always disable things and then see what does what until we find it. Background is probably not that. No, it wasn't. Let's leave the background on. Cameras, I'm imagining it's not in here. Rock instances, probably not it. Barrel, headstone arc. I would imagine not. Those are instances as well. Got trees, rocks, cone. That's probably not it either. pine tree instances here. So well done as well. Those are not fully fledged objects, they're all instances. So if you wanted to export this into something like Unreal Engine, then you might have to look into converting those into real geometry. That makes the scene a lot heavier, but I think on export it's not it doesn't do this automatically. It could also be done just with the environment settings here. That could be under matte fog. Yes, it's the matte fog. Okay, that's it. So it's done in render settings. Even better. So we don't really have an object here. I thought that was the matte fog. It's totally not the matte fog. Yeah, I don't know where the fog comes from, but foggy it is. I tell you that. Let's have a look at prefab 3 and 4. See if any of them are a little less foggy. I'm sure it's, yeah, this one's like the foggiest one, I guess. Let's have a look at this one and then the other one. Very cool. Exactly, the fog setting in the was that the ground fog setting or was there another one, Camilla? Aha. More trees, more mountains. This is great. And this is the water now, isn't it? And then, of course, you can probably generate your own scenes out of this as well, if you wanted to do that, if you're into level building. Very cool. It's a big set, Camilla. We'll work it out together. We'll work it out together. Sometimes it's also the fun of buying a new product and thinking, hey, I'll see if I can work this out. And so it's currently on sale, I think, for, what did it say? I think 13 bucks, isn't it? Background terrain tiles, and those are then the instant bits and pieces. Very, very cool. And imagine what you can do if you don't need to load the prefab. If you just want to make a relatively simple scene, you just only need to put in a few of these things. You know, just like 6 tiles or so, just to fill out the background in your scene. You don't have to have a full 360-degree scene. Yeah, this isn't snow, actually. This is grey box, so I'm not sure if they have a snow texture there. Water stars. It looks like it doesn't have kind of a snow texture. Very cool. It looks just like in the promo image, doesn't it? Combine that with depth of field, and man, you can actually use it in iRay too. That's quite nice. I love it. Isn't that cool? You know, but for that you can probably use Alessandro's add-on and just use the terrain here once you find it, and then just put the snow shader on the terrain and let the materia sort that out. So you can probably turn that into a snowy landscape if you want. Yes, the ground fog, that's this here, isn't it? That is currently, you know, hang on, matte fog, there it is. Matte fog. Yeah, this is fairly noticeable that this is what the fog was. In the previous scene I had switched that off and that didn't have an effect. There's also this one here, that's probably what it was, the atmospheric ground fog. I didn't check that in the previous one. So there's the matte fog and the atmospheric fog. That was probably what it was. That's actually what I would have used because that's a built-in iRay thing. So it's not on here, but I would imagine in the previous prefab probably was. There's also, I suppose there's also the render settings then. Ha! Sweet! They are responsible for switching that on and off as well. Let's switch it on. So let's not switch it on. Hey, they're all really good. I like the prefabs. Let's have a look at the 4th one. 4th prefab. This is fun. Do you know, it takes hours just to explore how a product actually works, doesn't it? I'm sure they have documentation as well. I'm sure they have. Prefab number 3. Let's have a look. Oh, ultimate ice for Iray. Ooh, I like it. This is like the mud swampland. Sweet. And then I suppose if you needed something with less trees or whatnot, you just go in and say, well, that tree, we're gonna go and get rid of a few, so don't be afraid to experiment with it and turn this landscape into what you, oops, what you need it to be. Just be careful when you remove everything. Yeah, if you needed like room to do, oops, I might actually make this guy unselectable, because this here, these are the actual trees. I would probably want for those guys not to be selectable, so that I don't accidentally remove the wrong trees here. So yeah, you can probably make a bit of room for a house or whatnot. Or just distribute them yourself. Are they all unselectable now? Because the instances are now also unselectable. Ah, that's... didn't think of that, did I? Dang. Sweet. Well, let's say this is where I want to put a house or something like that. See if I can kind of see that. Yes, and materia, that's the other thing that I'd recommend, because it is a thing that basically generates, so if you have an object, it generates texture on top of it, and that is the snow. It comes with the snow shader, so if you needed something like a tree or leaves or whatever that's covered in snow, you can go and use materia. And materia isn't just a shader, I mean it is a shader as well for snow, but it also adds the actual snow onto the surfaces. So it's basically like pouring it over from the top, if you will. Oops, oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was a render setting. I didn't mean to load another prefab on top of the prefab. No, it's not actually like it's not a geoshell. It creates. Can I undo that? I've accidentally loaded two sets here. Shouldn't have done that. It's what's it called again? It is this one here. It's on sale right now, $14.50. Pick it up because it is seriously cool. Materia Mesh Maker. So it creates this stuff here. So it's not a geoshell. It is a convex polyhedron isosurface generator. if you wanna be pedantic about it, and you can make stuff like that with it. And so the snow is actually generated, and if you watch the donut stream, I've made the icing on the donut with that, so it creates this as actual geometry. It's one of those Alessandro Magic type plugins, so the rock would be the actual mesh that you give it, and then this is the snow that gets generated on top of it. And you can use it on animals and on people and on stuff, and that is the kind of snow-covered stuff that it makes. So very, very cool stuff. I'll give you a link to that in the description as well. In the description in the stream here. Material. Ding. Hey, Mr. Jeremy, how's it going? And also don't forget that if you go via my link here on checkout, I get a tiny commission on that. I think that is, should that happen? Yes, there we go. If you buy Daz content via that link, I get a tiny commission, and that would really make my day if you could click that link before checkout. Thank you so much. That would be awesome. I think I'm okay here. I've undone the loading thing of the other thing. What does that look like? Sunset. Setting. The promo for the D-Force Timeless Carol outfit. Timeless Carol outfit. D-Force Timeless Carol outfit for Genesis 8 males, this one here. Aha. Did you make that, Camilla? Oh, and those are the ice shaders. Oh, okay, let me just go through them here. Yes, let's have a look at that as well, the ice shaders that you've mentioned. While we're here talking about products, that doesn't have it. Right, hit this on the bottom, I would imagine. Is that what you mean? And use some of the ice shaders. Nice, okay. Groovy. What's the product called? Did they link it here? By any chance? Doesn't look like. Let me look for it. That is also very cheap. Timeless Carol outfit. Very cool. Ice and me found you, Kevin. Wonderful to see you. Did you find the Genesis 3 developer things that I sent you yesterday? The link to, because that's really cool. That loads your Genesis 3 figures in the clay gray that you like. I'm just going to look for ice shader. Maybe we'll find the product that you mentioned here. Ice, snow, and ash. Is this the one? Iris, snow, ice, ash. That's the one. Do you know what? That has been on my wish list for a while. As you can see. And it's on sale now as well. Woohoo! That is cool. It's not on my wish list. Dang! It's one of those things that I've looked into and haven't bought yet. No, this is on my wish list. That was it. The whole best of winter thing. Oh, yes. Another Kindred Arts mega thing. I like it. Snow and ash. Very good. As it's scorching in Europe, let's look at snowy scenes, and that makes it all, you know. It could be that it's only for PAs. I don't actually remember if I needed to check it out or not. Good point, Kevin, but I have it. Look at that. Those are the ice shaders here. Very nice. Very cool. Thank you for the tip, Camilla. That is very cool. So I just have them in my content to be installed. I don't know if there is something that you need to kind of buy and check out for that. I thought it's part of the Genesis 3 starter essentials, but I would imagine you have those already. So if that doesn't work, if you don't have that, let me see if it comes with it. It looks like it doesn't. So it also comes with the UV prep pose. It could be only that they've given it to PAs. That is possible, that it doesn't come as part of your content. But I know that in my install manager here, if you look for it, have you looked for it? I'm sure you've looked for it. Kevin and I, just for a little context here, Kevin and I had a little discussion yesterday. Developer. This is the product, the Genesis 3 female and male developer kit. That's the one that that you need to install. But I don't know if I get it because I'm a PA or if you just need to install it. It's a bit like the PowerPost templates that you just have to, you have them, but you need to install them to have them. So if you don't find this, then the other option that you have in order to get this going is, I'll show you that in a second. Once we're done with this, it's actually fairly simple to move the, to just, is it simple? To just copy the surfaces from one figure to the other, load the 8 gray figure, and then copy that material and paste it over to all the surfaces of the Genesis 3 figure. This is great, actually. Let me go and let me make that un-irate quickly, and let's finish off what we're discussing with Kevin here. Because Kevin wants to use the Genesis 3 figures with the gray clay material, and he can't find a way to essentially make that happen. And I thought you can just use the Genesis 3 developer kit that comes with the gray figures, but of course if you don't have access to that, then that's the problem. So let me show you how you can turn the gray material of the Genesis 8 devload characters into the Genesis 3 gray characters. So we start, I guess, with a Genesis 8 figure, and I'll just use the 8 male devload here. And this is the material that Kevin would like on the Genesis 3 figures. Maybe, Camilla, you have to go make that. So here's my man. I'm gonna go and left click and drag him over here. And then I'm gonna go and load in my Genesis 3 Starter Essential man from the purple thing, this here. Yeah, this is the product that I wish you had, which is the male developer kit. And then that comes with the female and the male gray figure. So you can just go and load him or her. And then that would be gray. But if you don't have that, then, you know, that's of course a problem. So to circumvent that, you can just use the regular Genesis 3 male guy. Oh, wait a second. Kit bashing, yes, exactly. Reset surface is a default script as well that works on any surface. Where is that found, Kemi? That is a good idea. That is cool. I know there's another PA script that we get that is strip the textures from something. That is also really useful. Yeah, like he is with the full skin textures. So what I would do, this is just me trying it though. I go to my surface selection tool and I go use my Genesis 8 male guy and select that surface. Then on the surfaces tab, I go and just copy this shader out. So copy means this is just the shader properties of this surface here. Then I'd go to my Genesis 3 guy and then I'd go and essentially go and select all his surfaces and paste that on him. And that should take a second, and that should make it all gray. Jay reckons maybe that isn't actually happening. Should I have tested it with one surface first? Is Daz Studio still working on it? That doesn't actually work. What a shame. Does it work on one surface? No, also doesn't work. So forget that tip, Kevin. That's not how that works. Search for reset? Okay. I shall totally do that. And is that a script we all get? Could be under files here. Okay, oh, sorry, all files. There we go. Reset. Working on it. Daz materials. You'd imagine if I search for reset, it just goes and brings up reset, but that's not the case, is it? Maybe I'll go for reset surfaces. Does that work? That does everything, isn't it? Is it a material or is it a shader? Do you know that? Or you do that's an even better idea. If it doesn't work with copy and paste, that is, you know, the Mr. Chris tip. Let's do that. This is actually what should work. So file. Do we have anything open here yet? Great. Let's use this. So shave as a shader preset. And let's say the arms. This is on Genesis 8, so that is the gray shader. Now we go and pick Genesis 3, select all his surfaces. Does it work with multiple? It does! There we go. Chris gets the biscuit. He won. That's how you do that. Very good, very good. So that's how you do that. Very, very clever. Okay, so then to cut a long story short, you load in the regular Genesis figure. You load in the Genesis 8 gray figure, you select one of his surfaces and save that out as a shader. Then you load in the Genesis 3 with the regular texture or any other texture that you'd like to clad in gray. Then you select all their surfaces and then you apply that shader. Does that make sense? Thank you, Brian. Yes, absolutely. Much appreciated, Chris. Bloody copy and paste didn't work again. Ha! Always good of us to come together and share knowledge that way. Mr. Neville is here. How's it going, buddy? Neville, Julia and I were eager fans of the Broken Wood Mysteries in New Zealand. And I was wondering, since you're so close in South Australia, what's the situation with pies in Australia? Are you, like, as a nation, a big fan of pies, like the New Zealand guys are? So Kevin, this is how you apply the gray shader to the Genesis 3 figure, the Genesis 8 gray shader to the Genesis 3 figure. You select the figure, you go over to your surface selection tool and you pick any of these surfaces, let's say the body. With that selected, you save this thing out, either with File, Save As, and then a shader preset, or you head over here with a little plus icon and you say shader preset. Then you say Genesis Gray Matte, for example, and that will give you the option to just save out the torso properties here. That's what we want. Hit accept, and that's just a shader, so it is surface agnostic. This is that thing that we've just saved out. Now you go and select your Genesis male figure or any figure that you want for that gray material to be on. So it'll also work on props, it'll work between figure generations, it'll also work between genders. Then you head over to the surfaces tab and you select all these surfaces. So from the arms down to the torso, or you just click on the word surfaces, that will select all of them. Then you go and load that thing back in, double click, wait a second, and then he's all yours. And now you can either save this out as a material preset from Genesis 3, so you can go plus and then hit material preset. That'll save out just the gray material that you can then apply to any Genesis 3 male figure, or you can go and just save that out as a scene subset, and then that loads the figure with the gray materials. I hope that is working for you. You're welcome, Kevin, no problem. Always good to have a second instance of Daz Studio handy. So while we're talking about this, are we good with Prefab A? I think I'm going to go back to Prefab A, put in a character, make a quick picture out of that. Maybe even featuring the face paint we've made yesterday. Also, I want to see if we can reduce or increase that fog here. The meat pies, right, that's what I mean, exactly, yes. The footy pie, oh, I see, how exciting. Do you know, I use them all the time, Kemi. It's much easier on performance. I don't need 50 4K maps in my memory when I'm just working on a simple animation. And you can do all that. You can load in all that afterwards when it's time to make that final render. I use these all the time. Less is more. There's also for videos, there's of course the whole nudity thing. So that makes it really easy to just avoid that. That looks like it could be a good starting point. And Kevin works primarily with the Genesis 3 figures, so that can also easily happen if you've started a project and you're like several years in and then they change figure generations. It'll be a long work to get your figures that have a specific look, that get them to look exactly like you want them with the new generation, so you could avoid that work by just sticking with the older generation. I know people who've worked with the Genesis 1 generation for many years just because it has the gender changing feature, or the kind of the figure changing genderless approach built into a single feature. It's a single figure, so that's kind of good. They do like that, and they stuck with it, and you know, for them it works. And no matter if Genesis 2 or 3 or 8 comes out, they're still, you know, they're still married to the Genesis 1 content in a way. And also, of course, it's a money thing, isn't it? Even though new content doesn't come out anymore, you can also retrofit, of course. But the cool thing is that those types of older contents often go on sale, and you go, ooh, awesome. Was great. Indeed. Yes, I love being able to have one outfit and turning a kid into a man or a monster or a woman, and they can all wear the same thing. That was really, really cool. Feliscree1, thank you so much for subscribing. And the Bloxfire here. How's it going, buddy? So, Neville, let me ask you this then. What is, in your opinion, then, the king of pies? Just while we're talking about the meat pies. And the Vince! And Ascania is here! You win a Voyeurs contest. How's that? How did you win that? This was prefab A, and I like it. Render settings. This was, what was this? This is blue Daytone? Could be. It's kind of a morning daylight thing. Green tone daylight. Oh yes, it's getting creepy here. Then we have that, and then we have the sunset. They're all pretty cool, aren't they? I'm thinking maybe I'll do this in the morning here. Yes, in the morning. Bring in a character and let's see what we can do. Let's go use the Necromancer character from yesterday. And then we give him the face paint I've made on the Daz stream. Let's do that. HD version, come on. Bring it on, baby. Have a portrait with him. We're currently checking out something that Camilla discovered, and that is called, that's also by Kindred Arts and Ravenlaw. It's called the Mega Terrain Swampland. I'm having lots of fun playing with that. It's really cool. It's a bit like a large fantasy scene that you load in, and then, you know, this is what you can make with it. You can also use it as a generator for your own kind of building block scenes, but it does come with prefabs. Very nicely done on the memory as well, all done with instances. Comes with several ways of rendering the picture. This is kind of how it looks. Very cool. Very cool. And Camilla's used that in one of her renders, and it looked amazing. Yes, that's what I'm currently playing with. So I've bought that this morning, but I haven't played with it. I just bought it and I thought, this is cool. I'm gonna go and make a new camera out of this position because I kind of like that. And I'll move the guy here who's over here into position further over here. I think maybe he can even be in the water a little bit. Who knows? See if we can make that happen. Oh, in the Daz gallery. Oh, are they now? Do you have them on your art station as well, Camilla? Just curious, because it's much easier to find users on ArtStation. If you do, I'm totally happy to show them. I wasn't sure if they're for public consumption yet or not. I'll go and make this maybe a square. Should we make it a square? Let's make it a square. Square's good. That's got a square up here, and we don't need it down here. So this here is kind of where Necromancer guy needs to go. Kind of here somewhere. Oh yeah, also we've done that was a very, the camera is probably a little short. Yes, okay, let's go, let's use 80 then. Actually, let's use a 2038 maybe. Then we get a bit of landscape there, epic kind of landscape. Maybe I will actually use it in a 16:9 type thing. Like this way, and then we can have landscape in the background, something like that. So maybe you go in the water. Let's do that. I don't think it matters that much. You go in the water, buddy. And then we need a little pose for him. See what we have. Such a necromancer thing to do, yes. But also, Kevin, it kind of depends on what you're using it for. So if you use Daz Studio, so it's like using this viewport just as a figure illustration thing. If you just put a figure into a pose and you use that to kind of trace over, to get inspired by what you're actually drawing on it in a completely different program, that's totally fine as well. That's often an underutilized feature. Like I know comic artists used to use Poser like that they just used it for the three-dimensional figure poses. Because it's sometimes easier to use that than putting a figure into something like Clip Studio Paint and then posing the figure there. There's so many ways that you can use Daz Studio. It doesn't have to be the photorealistic high-end output. Maybe I filter this by mail here. Yeah, maybe that's good. I like it. And then maybe also turn you around, because I think we want you to face the camera like so. Like so. We'll go much closer in there, but that's such a necromancer thing to do. That's a bit unflattering. See if we have an outfit for you. There's a hair. I think, have I installed a funky kind of hair? No, I haven't. I was going to. Namely the hair that came with the Necromancer bundle. That I haven't installed. Dang. Cool, yeah, do it. And then I'll... I'm not sure if I'm following you on the Daz gallery, actually. I should do it. I should... I find the Daz gallery a little difficult to navigate at times. I think the like ArtStation is really cool for that. Yeah, this hair here. What's that called? The Victorian hair. And give him some eyebrows as well. I like that. Let's do that. That plus face paint. That's gonna look great, I'm sure. Victorian hair. Okay. Victorian. Because that isn't installed, is it? No, it's not installed. Let's install that. But I think also they might actually be working on better features for the gallery. So I think there's a lot of work going on the Daz website that we'll see in the coming months. One of them is going to be somehow how we're going to integrate the Daz Studio Masterclass into the website. So we were talking about it, and I still don't have an exact release date for the Masterclass, but the idea is that it's not going to be a downloadable product because it's such a long series. We don't want people having to download 30 gigabytes of data before they can start watching it. So we want to make it a viewing experience that you can watch it on the website, and the Daz site isn't currently geared up for that, but it's something they're working on to make that happen just for the masterclass, and then we'll see, you know, what happens next. So there's a lot of work that's going on under the hood on the Daz gallery. Oh, first of all, let's go and put the face paint on that I've made yesterday before we make the final framing here. That was in here, face paint you shell, wasn't it? Ding. Yes, perfect. So that's the face paint done in Substance Painter yesterday. I thought we could do like 5 or so. This only took like 30 seconds to do this, but then we ran out of time. It's one of those things. So we have full hair. Let's try that out. It's up. All right. Drakenborg art. Let me show you that just after we look at that. Actually works. We have face paint and hair. Not bad at all. Even though the eyebrows might be a little much. Or we just use the beard here. Let's face paint underneath the beard. How realistic is that? And we just use this here. That's his hair on the outside. Maybe we can give him, yeah, that and the mustache, perhaps. Tash. Sweet. There's also the sideburns. I do like the sideburns too, I gotta say. That is nice because that complements both the facial hair. It basically puts the beard where there's no face paint. I like that. Yeah, we're working on that, Mick. We're working on that. He likes the feeling of the leeches and the congregations around his crotch, yes. Yes, let's make some ivy grow up him. It's a good point. Shall we give him something to wear? Let's give him something to wear. Well, he has his outfit. We could use that. There's also kind of the warrior outfit, which we could kind of retrofit to him. There's another warrior queen outfit. That's kind of for the female. Or he can wear his karate suit. That might also be good. Let's do that. The karate G outfit. Let's do that. Is that for the male or for the female? That's the female. That's the male. Let's do that. He's doing Tai Chi in the great outdoors. You mean the necromancer guy, or you mean the Mega Terrain? Hey Meg, how's it going? Yes, so now we're getting into this realm of, do we need to adjust things? Will D-Force explode here with the hands and stuff? Because it is a D-Force outfit after all, isn't it? It's also white, so maybe that's not just for exposure. It's not great. Oh, there's a top and there's pants. That's interesting. So he could conceivably not wear the pants. Is that how that works? Yes, that is conceivable, but it also gives us trouble then. And just put a different kind of material shade on. It's also going to give us trouble. So let's use something that doesn't give us trouble. I was actually going to have a look at the procedural buildings there in the... if that's similar. For Blender, that's also something I'd like to have a look at. Maybe we give this another 10 minutes. See if we can somehow come up with the render here. Oh, that was the pants are not fitted to my guy. Fit to necromancer. Ding. Hey, believable. Perfect. I like it. Oh, so this actually, I'm trying to do something that's largely inspired by something that I saw in one of Camilla's renders. This actually, I like the idea that he would just, then we're not going to see the face paint, but he would just look into the distance here. Let me see if I can find it. It's Camilla. That is on ArtStation. I'm sure I'm following you. And it would mean... What's your name again on ArtStation? I'm so sorry, Camilla. You just told me and then I've forgotten. I thought it's C. Drakenborg Art, isn't it? Or is it just Drakenborg Art? Sorry about that, Camilla. I totally forgot. Drakenborg, that'll do the trick. And that will at least bring you up. And then if we go here, yes, there we go. The passage. All right. I've already seen it. Yes, this is what Camilla's made, and that was done with that set. That is very cool. Let me go and put a link to this into the chat so that you can all see it. Mr. Nate, how's it going? Oh, no, that's the next one, isn't it? That's the next artwork. That's kind of how it works. Very cool render. Watch them, have a look at them in their full resolution and marvel at the detail. Courtesy of the new 3070 card. Very nice. I was really impressed by the background. Of course, you can spend hours getting that right. And Camilla has done that, so thank you for sharing, Camilla. I'll see if I can make my necromancer look like that somehow. I'm thinking if I like just to frame up the shot here, like the distance thing, I'm gonna go make him look at the distance. Shame we don't see the face paint then. Nate, how's it going this fine morning? And yes, kind of, but not really good either. Kind of, but not really good. One day this could all be mine, he's thinking. I would like to see some of his face paint. I mean, we've spent so much time on it. Maybe we'll just go and have him turn him around this way instead. Maybe he's watching a bird or something. I don't know. I'm uninspired. Goody! That could be our render for today. We'll dispense with the expression. I might work on this a little later. Right, that's what I thought. That's what I thought, Mick. Absolutely. You're already, my goodness, you've been running for an hour and a half. That's crazy. Nate, that's amazing. Well done for being so fit. I think that's really important to do a bit of exercise when we do so much sitting down work at the computer. Okay, let me go, and while this is saving it, let me show you what I'd like to do for the next hour. And that is something by a wonderful man called Watabu. And he's made this on his itch page. It's part of a series of things that he makes. They're called the ProcGen Arcana, which is kind of a fantasy village generator. So on one hand, he makes these maps that auto-generate the map of a village procedurally, and to top it off, he's made these things in which he essentially has, and this happens all in a web browser by some magic called hacks, I think, and you can go and create small buildings procedurally like this, and all in a web browser. I don't know how he does it, but it's awesome. Every time you click that, a new thing gets made, a new little house gets made, and it has funky little smoke and stuff. I don't know if that exports, but the house will export, namely as an OBJ like this, which is seriously cool. You can also make medium-sized houses, and you can make large type mansions. But the point is, every time you click this, it's a different configuration of building. And that's just so cool. So not only is the size different, but it's just the building configuration is different too. And I thought it would be really funky to load in a few of those into Blender and just create the illusion of kind of a road that we go down to, and also how we can maybe apply some substance materials on these low res models, literally inside Blender, so without Substance Painter, just inside Blender, and just make them look, you know, kind of cool, and just have a camera race through that. See if we can make that happen in an hour. Put the stylized house into the swamp. Why don't we try that? Why don't we try that? That's a good idea. This one here, maybe with the stilts, I'm already in love. Let's do that. That is a great idea. I think you can also do style changes here with presets. So northern, apply that. That's the northern style. Well, we got the southern style. Southern looks like that. I don't know if that's better for a little house in the swamp. There's also central. Central is that. Interesting. That doesn't look like something in the woods to me. Oh, there's winter. Kemi here. This one's for you. Comes with snow. Is that cute or what? And then we have night. Night is that's creepy building, isn't it? With the lights on and everything. That's cool. And then there's random. So random, I suppose, is well, that is random, isn't it? I like the night one here. But then I also like just like the plain one here. Maybe we'll go with night. With the lantern. Oh, that's so cute. Let's go and export this as OBJ. I may have to take this into Blender just as a round trip because I'm not entirely sure how this is going to work. But we'll leave that in there, and it's going to be his little house in the background there. I like it. I like it. Let's do that. Oh, bend the elbow. Yes, I can. Yes, that's. I can see that. I can see that. Treasure Woman. Hello. How's it going? Welcome to the stream. Happy Sunday. Let's see what happens when we import that little building straight from the downloads folder called Medium. Okay, cool. So it has that little thing on the bottom here that we need to remove, but that's easy. There's also the little lantern. Cute. That is just so cute. Can we do that? And then this here, that's the hat. Oops. And then maybe also select all of these. I just want to take the bottom off here. And then with X, just get rid of the faces maybe. Yes, there we go. Now we have a house and a lantern. How are we doing while we're here? Is there anything to be done in regards to UV unwrapping? Do we have materials? And like we do have materials. That is very cool. Very cool. How does do we have UV unwrap? How does he do that? How does he do any of these things? We maybe it's not UV unwrapped. That could be. Is that possible? Smart UV project. Let's try. Yes, it wasn't UV unwrapped. Okay. Well, it's you can't expect everything from a procedural building generator. So I suppose for flat materials it's going to work, but if we wanted to see some textures on it, we're going to have to. I think we're going to have to do a little bit more work on this. Chris, what do you reckon? This is not something that would work great. So I would imagine a remeshing operation might do the trick. Just so that something like a brick or wood texture might work better. Thoughts? What do you think? Kemi wants a beer now, crazy. Not decimate, it's more like remesh, isn't it? Yeah, no. Almost, but no. Sharp is probably a good start, and then voxel depth, make that a little better. And don't remove disconnected, so that. I did actually see a product on the Blender market, I nearly bought it, that will get rid of things like n-gons and stuff that will, so like when you make a text object and you turn that into mesh, that often has really bad geometry, and remeshing is one approach, but there's this add-on that would literally just look at the edges and turn it into good geometry without there being a remesh thing. It does floor plans too, yes, absolutely, it's really, really cool. So he does all these kinds of things, it's very, very cool. Me too, Kevin, how exciting. I am also an NA fan. That's what I drink as well. If I do drink beer, I do drink that. I'm basically a teetotal, as I say, after cancer. It's not something I enjoy alcohol anymore, but I do enjoy beer, so that's where that comes in. Rule? I'm not sure if that was the product name. Sometimes, no, not yeah, I do drink Beck's sometimes and Heineken, but they're all the NA versions. They do some really good NA beers here in the US. Super cheap. There's one called, I forgot. It's so cheap I don't remember its name. It's literally 50 cents a can, and you don't really get that anymore. Oh, it was just it was neither quads nor was it. Can I show you that? I think I can, can't I? There, these are the UVs that Blender's created. Or actually, these are the UVs that Blender's created. And I'm not sure if I see good potential for the materials. And maybe it's going to be okay. But I thought we could probably make that better. Maybe it's okay, I don't know. I haven't actually tried it yet. Just in your expert opinion. You're a Heineken fan yourself. Yeah, it's good, isn't it? The Heineken is actually interesting for NA beers because they do a 0.0% version. Usually NA beers have 0.5% alcohol, but Heineken and a couple of others, they have, like Bitburger from Germany, they have literally 0%. Should be good. If you're texturing in Substance, well, I was thinking of using Substance materials inside Blender. If you think that's okay, groovy. Then we don't have to remesh it. There's also the other thing I wanted to do just before I do that is grab this OBJ. I might do that without the modifier then, for now, because it's easy to replace it later, and just export it as an OBJ and bring it into Daz Studio and see if we can use it as a thing that we can just drag shaders on. Medium house. Why don't we try that and see if it works? Maybe a new folder is in order. Blender stuff. I'll probably remember what that is next week. Medium house. And I could have left the thing on. To scale that up by 100, I think. I could have just unticked this box apply modifiers, and then it would have just done this. Just out of curiosity, what's that going to look like when we import it into Daz Studio in our scene, and then it could be like a background object. Let's see. See how that works. This might not work out at all. Blender stuff. There we go. Perfect. Well, it's procedurally generated, isn't it? So. Ah, here it is already. Oops. Yeah, Necromancer's house, complete with with the little lantern and stuff. I like it. I like it. Maybe turn that around a little, because it is swampland after all. And then if we don't make it too in focus, that's totally his house, isn't it? So let's see what that would do with materials here now. Whoops. And it has a lot of materials on there, material zones that is, so this is the roof. Then we have metal structure, that is that. I might just make it, instead of white, I'll make that a bit, you know, not so white, so that our retinas don't burn out completely as we investigate what's what. I also might go and make basically everything unselectable, just so that, yeah, that doesn't happen. There we go. Dude, what's this? That's the light? Oh, I see. This is like a nice little emissive thing. Let's take care of that. That's an easy one to tweak. Maybe something like a little, you know, a little yellow thing here. And then this will switch to watts, and then make that maybe 200 watts. And see how that looks later on. Then we have the roof. Do we have any roof tile shaders or any kind of wood shaders here? Fabric, grunge, ground, liquid, marble. Wooden floorboards, monochrome black wood, planks. I'm a big fan of planks. Let's try planks. Planks! Awesome. That'll do as a roof, actually. Maybe a little bit smaller. Oh, this is fun. Oh, were they on the frames? Oh, sorry. Thank you for noticing. Is it? Kevin, you know, I've just tested the actual Substance integration, so you can use, I think you still have to have Substance Painter or an active subscription to work with that, but you can then use actual Substance materials on the object inside Blender. It's kind of cool. It comes up as a little pane here. There we go, Substance 3D. So you can just go and bring in a material and then put it onto anything that you've selected. So that's what I'm using right now, and that's very cool. And it's free as well. That's neat. Where have I got my tiling here? Vertical, horizontal. It's already pretty cool. I was going to make him a little larger here, maybe. Yeah, like 15 might be good. 15 good, yes, fantastic. And then this vertical, I think that does that make a massive difference? I mean, the UVs aren't great, so this is now partly my problem here, that I see that big seam here in the middle. So maybe I should have remeshed it. You know, I can still do that. I can still import a new UV texture set, couldn't I? Just export that with it. Now, while that would require different... We're okay. We're fine for a background object. Yes, like, I mean, I do see the seam here. It is a little ugly. It'd be good if that would be detriangulated, essentially. But then can't Daz Studio do that? detriangulate. I don't know if Blender can do it. I'm sure it can. I know there is a way to do this inside Daz Studio, but I don't know if it's going to work on this object. Under geometry, triangulate, and there's also detriangulate. So if we're going to put this into wire shaded here, Daz Studio crashes and Jay hasn't actually saved a scene. Wow. It is true, Kemi, so I'm already worrying about things that no one's actually gonna see. Was that a bad idea? Should I have just used the wireframe overlay in the filament preview? That might actually have been better. Exactly, and then just add camera blur, we're good, exactly. I've changed my mind. I don't want to see the wireframe. Forget about it. I just want to detriangulate and see what happens. Dang! Meanwhile, in another instance of Daz Studio where we try the same thing, as we're completely chilled about this. Do you know, there was one in the render settings. There are actually two in the render settings. Ground fog and the other one, the volumetric fog. It must be one of those, I imagine. Blender stuff, here it is. House. So let's make this more visible here. And I think it should be easy to switch this into kind of a wire shaded view. There we go. That's the ticket. So if we go and say edit, objects, geometry, detriangulate, you must select an object in the scene with geometry consisting of triangulated quadrilaterals to perform this action as. It doesn't work then, is the answer. Not on this object, not on this object. I think if you had a quad object that you triangulated and then you can detriangulate, I think that works. But if you have like meshes like that, I think that might not work. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, no worries. Now we know. Oh, really? There's a VDB object. Ah, that is how you do that. So I found... Ah, there we go. Thank you. We don't need this anymore. We can switch this over again. But thank you for not crashing. I appreciate that. Daz Studio. For... I'll have a look for that. Thank you. That's probably what we needed, because I found a material preset to make the fog denser or less dense, but I didn't find which thing I need to select for that. I'll search for VDB object. Thank you, mate. That's very valuable. Right. Yes, Neville. We're still struggling our way through the viewport change here. That was a massive mistake, wasn't it? Retopo flow. Okay. I'm not sure if that was the one I found. It was a much less powerful one. If I could only remember what that was. But I thought of getting it just for text objects, because I usually remesh the text objects, and they are still not come back here. And the remeshing introduces other artifacts. As we wait for Daz Studio to come back to life. Or we just go back to Blender and do something else. That's also cool. Yeah, so medium house. I like it. And then, so if I go and put like several of this together and then add literally like 20 or so houses in a little row, and then a camera can go through it, that might be a nice little animation. that we could make, but I can already see that it takes a little longer than I had expected. So that's also okay. Let's try Chris's trick then and add some substance materials to this. So just because I've kind of forgotten how that works already, I think if it's active, you just go and how does that work again? Create's good, right? But then I suppose you have to import a substance material into here, right? I'm not having much luck with computers this morning. KevDog, I doubt it. I doubt it. That's a cool idea though. Welcome, by the way. Yeah, I'm not having much luck here. This is like the spinning wheel of doom literally in every application this morning. Yeah, I doubt that I've changed it to that. There we go, we're back. We're back. Daz Studio works again. Quick, let me just go and save my scene here. And I have bought the Super Save add-on that you guys have taught me about, but I haven't tried that out yet either. Has Create not worked after all? There we go, there's Create, perfect. Do we have substance materials here? Like the wood, let me bring in the wood here that I happen to have in my downloads folder. That's that. Processing. See if that could go on the, whoops, on the roof. Oops. Man, different modifier keys in different applications, that's just all weird, isn't it? So I remember I just pick a material and then it doesn't actually, I think I have to do it in that I select something like the roof, like so, and then when I go and apply this, it doesn't go on the roof, it kind of makes a new material with those polygons, I think. Is that how it works? Let me see if that is how we do that. Funny, I've done it like 2 weeks ago and I've already forgotten how to actually do it. So it is in here, but it's not actually on the roof. Which is bizarre. That could also be kind of a setting. I do remember there was something in here. Interesting. Roboclops. I don't know the product at all. I know the name, but I haven't tried it out. You make a good point though. Automatically attach the material. Could that be it? Yes, the product I found was much simpler, and I wish I could remember what it was, but I was just browsing Blender Market and I thought, oh, that's nice. Have I wishlisted it? It might not have even been Blender Market. It could be a creator from the Blender Market that had a website or something. I should have made a note, really. I'll look at my browsing history later. Why the house, Camilla? Because it's a procedurally generated object. It's less about what it looks like. It's about you click a button and the house changes. That is the cool thing about it. That's what I'm intrigued about. I'm going to try this here. Automatically attach the material. That could be what we were looking for. I don't know exactly if that's how this is meant to work, but I thought we go and just select a roof and we go and say apply. Is that not how that works? That's how I wish this would work. If this is how it works is another matter. Guess it isn't. No, it just goes and puts another thing in here. That's just weird, isn't it? Does it have to happen in edit mode? Let's go and can't do it in edit mode. Dang, Blender. Let's go get rid of these. Go into edit mode, select the house, and then just go select the roof and go do that. Doesn't work, does it? Oh, okay. quad remesher. That sounds interesting. Is that just going to turn stuff like that into quads? Is that how it works? That would be, I mean, Z-remesher, that's a cool idea. Just bring this house into ZBrush. Let ZBrush remesh this. That's another thing we could try. I'm up for anything. Let's try that. Since I have no luck with materials and they're spinning wheels here all the time, nothing appears to work. Let's just go down the ZBrush route. That's a really good idea to just try that out. That is something, I have such little experience with the Z-remesher. Please talk me through it, Roboclops, if you can. That would be really cool. I think I can just about import an object into ZBrush. And I think I've used the Z-remesher a couple of times, but let's try it out. That's a good idea. Cool, Kemi, excellent. Great minds think alike. I really like this, coming together, throwing some tips out and just going trying stuff out. Let's have a look. Import ugly house v1. I like the house. Medium house. There we go. Import. The imported mesh contains unused vertices. Would you like to remove all unused vertices? Hey, why not? Let's treat ourselves. The imported mesh contains 6 unused points, which have been removed. Thank you, man. That's awesome. Do you know what I should have done? I should have imported whoops, sorry. I should have imported the version that I've made from Blender, the one without the foot on the bottom. Let me go and do that. That was in Blender stuff, wasn't it? That's something else. That's a different OBJ. I've already made that. Blender stuff here. That one, medium house. Let's do that. Hello? Here it is. Different programs, different modifier keys. Freaks me out. So perspective is good, and we want to see that for now. And let's try the Z-remesher. How does the Z-remesher work again? Where is that? Under tool? Could be under geometry. I think I have no idea. Z-remesher, there it is. And with that, we go and say, maybe just as it is, just click Z-remesh and see what happens. Is it doing it? I have no idea. Oh yes, it's doing it. It's doing. Ah, that's a shame. Didn't work so well. Good job though, but perhaps not what we want. Use polygons, modify topology, stadia, position size, target polygons count. I have no idea about this. If you can let me know how to make it happen without half the thing removing. Polygroup and detach the roof. Okay, good. Polygroup. That is the next problem. How do I do that? I have no idea. Polygroup, perhaps just click polygroups and then just auto group, see what happens. Ah, okay, that is less easy to detach the roof. And now we have 57 million material zones. This is more difficult than I thought. Detaching the roof. Do I just mask the whole thing off? It does, doesn't it, Camilla? Control Shift click. So if I go undo that, Control Shift click the roof. Nothing happens. It destroys my object. Is that the destroy object option? This is all completely over my head. I have no idea how any of this works. Auto group usually works well if you have something that's relatively similar, but I think in our case that doesn't quite work. I could potentially mask kind of this off. Is that something that would... No, that also doesn't work. Gotcha. Thank you, ZBrush. Very helpful. No polygroups, no. I'm afraid not. That if anyone is aware of the wrapper plugin for the standalone wrapper from R3DS, you can extend the full functionality 30 days trial from them forever. Really? I did not know that, because I do have the wrapper plugin for ZBrush and I have the standalone thing, and I was always missing some additional functionality that the plugin doesn't have. So I'm happy using the wrapper standalone version. Re-import, but first go to Preferences, Import, Export, Import Matte as Polygroup. Okay, I'll go make a new document, because that's the only way I know how to just do that. Then we go to, did you say Preferences, Import, Export? I love it. 60,000 items, the tiniest font. Let's put them all in one row. People are going to work it out. It's cool. Is it? Does it maybe put new people off your program? Screw new people. Import, export. Import, probably import. Import matte as groups. This one here. Matte as groups. Oh, Chris. This is magic stuff. I like it. That is magic stuff. Let me go do this again. Import, medium house. Chris, this is really cool. Thank you for the tip. I like it. Left click and drag out. Also freak out. I like it. Is the freak out option enabled? Yes, it is, isn't it? TF. And it's auto polygrouped it now. Ha ha ha. So that is good. Going back to Kemi's suggestion then. Yes, right. Actually, they have a magnifying glass built in that magnifies some of the menu items even. Just funny stuff. So Kemi, you were saying detach the roof. How do I do that now? Now that we've properly polygrouped it, how do I do that? Also cool. We're going to go try that a minute in a second. Brian, that's even better. Tries to quads. I thought, detriangulate, that might actually... Blender should have that. If Daz Studio has it, I'm sure Blender has it. Remeshing stuff, I like it. Now hide the roof and split hidden. Hide the roof. When you say hide the roof, how do I do that? Imagine I've never seen ZBrush before. Hide the roof. It's probably Control-Shift-Alt-HI, right-click while left-clicking the middle click or something. Control plus Shift-click is hide. Control-Shift-click. See, I knew it was something like that. Control, that didn't work. Control plus Shift and click. Maybe Control plus Shift plus right-click. No. Control plus Shift plus middle-click? No. Control plus Shift plus... It doesn't work. Maybe it's... Do I do that? No. Maybe it's Control-Alt-click. No. Maybe it's Shift-Alt-click. No, that does other things. That I don't know what they do. Sorry, Kemi. You need to click on the edge because it has so little vertex. So it's not on a face. It has to be the edge. So Control Shift and then click. Yes! Ish. It has to be an edge. That hid everything though. Even though, maybe I'll try this here. Where I come from, this is a different polygroup than that. So if we only want to hide this polygroup, why would it hide all the walls as well? That doesn't make any sense, does it? Subtool split by groups. Let's try that. Subtool split by groups. That sounds good. Split. It's the group split, this one here. This is not an undoable operation. Awesome. But now it hasn't acknowledged the... Has it? Oh, it has. There we go. That's the roof, isn't it? Ah. So that did something. Me too, KevDog. I use it for making little adjustments, like just you know, brushing things out and stuff. That's really cool. But the core functionality of what ZBrush can do over my head is too difficult for my brain, I'm afraid. So we could do this now, right? Get rid of the roof and then try to remesh the rest of the house. That should work, right? Is that right? Trader, welcome. How you doing? Good to see you. See what happens if I use the remesher now. That was back under geometry, wasn't it? Geometry. Remesh. See what happens. Error, remeshing error encountered. Remeshing aborted. I'm gonna go with Brian's tip. What did you say, Brian? It sounded much nicer. In Blender, go into edit mode, select all, then say face menu near the top and say tries to quads. So edit mode, select everything. Into the face menu, tries to quads, Alt J. No progress bar, that's normal for Blender. It could be that it's done. It could, no, it's just not done it. Also good, Blender, like it. Have you done it, Blender? Tries to quads. It also didn't do anything. It's done it, has it? Unless these are actually... Blender reckons this is a quad. It could well be. Blender knows better than us. It looks pretty much like a try to me, but... What happens with the statistics on here? Statistics options been removed. There it is. Yeah, it's... Oh, it doesn't do the selected. Yeah, there we go. It's 3 edges, 1 face, 3 vertices. That's a try where I come from. Blender. Maybe just triangulate faces. Shall we try that? Oh, that's triangulate. No, that's not what we want. We want the other thing. One that tries to quads. The 3-sided quad. I like it. I like it. So let's recap then. The Mega Terrain, really good product. Can't wait to play more with that. Procedural houses look really cool. Give us a problem when we want to apply materials. They also seem to give us an issue with making them look nicer. The only thing that I would try then is to just go and remesh this. If the Z remesher doesn't work, I'll just use the Blender remesher for these. Like we had it before. We go to sharp, and then we go and make this a bit, you know, bigger and better. Remove disconnected. There we go. Oh, that's done something nasty here at the top as well. I don't want to make it denser than that. That's also not good. That still breaks the roof, I'm afraid. The 3-sided quad. So that remesher also doesn't work. This works. I can't make it more detailed than that because otherwise I lose that face here. Yeah, that breaks it. Now that scale also breaks it. Interesting. smooth shading is not a good idea. Or we just live without substance materials. That's also an idea. Could do that too. Oh, cool. Roboclops, thank you for the heads up. I appreciate that. Well, I'm afraid it was an unsuccessful stream yet again. It was still very nice to hang out with you. I'm going to keep plugging away at this and see if I can turn this into a nice little animation this afternoon, because, you know, I really like this here. I want to give you a little link to this generator here, the Prop Gen Mansion, because it is a really cool thing to play around with. Julia discovered it, and you know, it's something I want to have a look. I want to have a little look at how we can turn these into funky buildings in Blender, and then, you know, make them make a little animation along two sides of a road. I mean, ideally, and I've looked into this as well, we would do this with geometry nodes in Blender. That would be super cool. And then you just have one thing that every time you duplicate it, you give it a different seed, and you just have multiple buildings that look differently around the sides. So, but that is not something that I know how to do yet, but I'm very much looking forward to it. Unsuccessful! Unacceptable. Hey, Lemons Monkey, thank you so much for subscribing. Appreciate that. My friends, have a wonderful Sunday. It was wonderful hanging out with you. I'll see you again next Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for more Schnick Schnack and Shenanigans. Until that time, have a wonderful rest of the week. And take care. Bye-bye.